Good morning. I'm Erica from Scout Digital. I am going to have a quick chat to you this morning. If anybody joins us, hopefully you do. For those of you who might be watching this for the first time, I am really new to Periscope. This is my second scope. And I'm dipping my toes in by sharing some tips from blog posts that I've written. I'll share the link to my blog if you want to read them in detail later on. But I'm going to be doing these weekly scopes for a while, just to go through some of my previous blog posts and share some advice that I've shared there. Like I said, I want to keep this one short because I'm really under the pump at the moment with a couple of big projects and campaigns. But today, if you look back, you would have seen the screen. I'm going to be sharing something that I learned actually from my 1-year-old. He amazes me all the time with the things that he teaches me. So he taught me let me turn this around. I'll show you this picture, and here we go. So there's a picture of it on the top of the blog post. We got him this box of blocks soon after he turned 1, and you can see the red lid there. It has this shape sorter in the top, and the blocks come in all these different shapes and sizes. So we're teaching him how to stack them up and then pack them away, and trying to teach him to put them through the holes in the lid on the top of the bucket. And we were trying to, show him how you stick the square one through the square hole and the round one through the round hole and the rectangular one, etc., etc. And he just kept sticking them through all different holes. And my husband and I were getting a little bit worried. And we're like, no, this is what you do. Like, trying to teach him, this is what you do. This is the right thing to do. But he just kept, they actually did fit through different holes. So the round one did fit through the square hole, and the rectangular one actually fit through all the different holes. And after a while, I was just like, actually, what he's doing is, and he can see that, well, this shape will fit through any of these holes. It doesn't have to fit through that hole. And it made me question, well, what things have I been doing in my marketing where maybe I'm a bit stuck in my way, and how did I get conditioned to this is the only way you can do this? And it's a bit of a hard thing for me to do as a professional, because I give advice to people on how to market their business, and I was actually thinking, well, maybe my advice needs to be looked at in a different way, like maybe there's a different way it can fit. And there were 3 things that really stuck out to me that I might have been a little bit like set in my ways, and could possibly be, a few ideas that could be turned on their head. So I jotted them down in this blog post. You can read a few, bit more story in there in detail. But so there were a few examples of when I thought the rules, what we think of as being like the rules of digital marketing and social media marketing, might not fit. And the first one is that you have to be on social media. And this is something that I do hear a lot of, particularly with people who are starting new businesses or starting to work for themselves. Straight away, all of their family and friends tell them, oh, you have to get on Facebook, you have to get a Facebook page, you have to be on social media, you have to do it. And the reality is, there is no legal requirement for you to have to be on social media to run a business. Yes, there are a huge amount of benefits to using social media to market your business, but it is, to do it well, it is a really big commitment for you. And if you don't have the time or the energy or the enthusiasm to do it, doing it kind of half-assed or poorly can actually do you more harm than good. So don't feel really pressured to do it. And in this blog post, I do share an example of a phone call I got from a contact who had recently started working for himself. He'd been an electrician for a long time and started his own electrical business, and was being told that he had to be on social media. So he'd almost gotten in contact with me out of duress, that he'd been told, you have to talk to Erica about your social media. And I really love having these kind of conversations, because he was a little bit hostile with me on the phone, almost preparing himself for me to do this big sales pitch on all the things that he had to do. And I was listening to what he had to say, and I was like, well, to be honest, I don't really know. Like I said, I'm not sure if Facebook is necessarily the right thing for you, because that was the thing that he'd been suggested to do. And we had a really good conversation about what types of updates he could share, how he wanted to market and brand his business. He didn't personally have a Facebook account, so he wasn't familiar with it. And we ended up having a really good conversation, and he's really friendly, by the way, which just seemed a little bit hostile to begin with. And we ended up putting together a plan and a strategy for him. And that worked out. Yeah, he's started off with a Facebook page and wanted to make it something that was really manageable for him. And so while we've also talked about using LinkedIn, it's, he wanted to get a handle on posting regularly on the Facebook page, first of all, and using that to start off with. So obviously in that situation, he did end up using social media, but the point was, in the first place, don't feel pressured to jump online as soon as you start a business, sign up to a heap of channels and not know what you're doing. This is where a strategy is really, really important, and it's worthwhile getting that right first before kind of jumping in. And like I said, it could potentially do you more harm than good if you don't have the time or energy or resources or enthusiasm to do it. So the second example of a rule of digital and social marketing that might not fit anymore is that you have to use a certain social media channel for your industry. And again, this is something that's really easy to do. You can say to people, okay, well, you're a retail business, you have to have a Facebook page. You're a professional B2B business, you have to have a LinkedIn page. You're a technology type business, you have to be on Twitter. And while there are certainly some good points for those channels, for those different types of businesses, again, you need to take that step back and go, well, who are we as businesses and individuals? What are we comfortable with? Who are our audience? What do we think we can handle? How many channels can we manage? What content do we have to share? How often can we share? And make that decision about what social media channel or channels you're going to use based on those points, not just the default for your industry. And again, like with my electrician client, you might want to start off with one, get a handle on that first of all, and then you can actually move on to using other channels afterwards. So an example I had with this was a construction client, and before they had even hired me, they'd gone and set up their own Facebook page, and then they gave me the access to it, and I was a bit like, you're a commercial construction firm, what are we going to do with a Facebook page? You need to be on LinkedIn and Twitter. And then again, I'm glad at that point I stopped and I thought about it. And I was like, okay, let's just see how this works. And we put together a content strategy for using their Facebook page, as well as using LinkedIn and Twitter. And they have access to, or they take and have access to, some incredible photos and videos of these high-rise buildings that they're working on. And that type of visual content works really well for them on Facebook. Obviously, we're constantly testing and monitoring what works and refining our strategy. So this is a real simplified version. But they get a really great response on Facebook. So they also, their strongest channel is LinkedIn, which fits, more with that industry stereotype. But they do really well on Facebook as well. And Facebook is hard for a lot of businesses. So getting that exposure in the newsfeed is becoming more and more challenging. So you really don't want to put yourself under any more pressure or be putting a lot of energy into something that's not getting you the results that you want or that you deserve from your energy as well. So don't be forced into feeling like you have to use social media or you have to use certain channels. Just take that step back and think about, is there another way that this could fit? To take it back to my topic. Finally, the other kind of myth that I don't think fits is feeling like you have to post a certain number of times a day or times a week as well. This is a really easy one for us as consultants and managers to get stuck into, because it's a really good way for us to quote and be transparent with our clients about what they're going to get out of us. So, you might say you're going to get this many posts a day on Twitter, this many posts a week on Facebook, this many posts a week on LinkedIn, and it keeps us accountable and, justifies our job as well. But what I have also seen with that is when we are so stuck on this is how many times we have to post per week, unfortunately, you can start to post out of necessity rather than quality and thinking about your audience. So you might actually be having some kind of like substandard content and posts that are going out. And that's really not great for anyone. So definitely posting regularly is incredibly important, but don't feel stuck in posting a specific number just because it's the number if you don't have good quality content to back it up. So obviously this goes back into your content funnel and what are you posting and having that plan. But you're far better off posting quality updates rather than focusing on just a certain quantity of updates. So if it means, having one less post a week because you really don't have a good quality update, try and make up for it the next week. So keep that in mind as well. So just a quick recap, I've drawn, here we go, written a few points down here for you. So if you want to read that blog post, you can go to my website, scoutdm.com.au. It's called What My One-Year-Old Son Taught Me About Digital Marketing. It is a slightly older post, so you just need to scroll down to the bottom of the blog. I think it's the last one on the current archives page. And like I said, I'm just running through some examples of when those typical rules of digital and social media marketing don't fit. So don't feel like you have to be on social media. You don't have to use a certain social media channel for your industry, and you don't have to post a certain number of times a day or times a week. Think about, is there another way? Like I said in the beginning, is there another way that block can fit through that hole? Is there a different hole that it can fit through? Don't feel forced to do anything that you're not comfortable doing, and make sure, a good strategy should actually answer all of these questions for you. So thanks very much for your time today. I hope you found that helpful. Like I said, you can go to my website if you're interested in reading any more, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye.